Today I'm going to explain an essay to long-term problems, too many people, too few trees, written by Moti Nisani. Moti Nisani is an American scholar. So in this essay he talks about twin problems, that are overpopulation and deforestation. So firstly, the writer talks about how human beings have exploited the natural resources, or how is the environment affected by the human activity. He says that human beings and the natural world are on a collision course. It means collision means one attacks another, or when the two objects or two vehicles coming from opposite direction, they collide with each other, there will be collision. So he says that environment and the human activities, they are in the verge of collision. Because of the human beings, the environment is being exploited or degraded, and after the environment being degraded, the human activities or human lifestyle also will be affected. So he says that if these things are not checked, or if the fundamental changes are not brought, then there will be the course or the future will be so worst. So that the poet warns us about the two long-term problems. They are overpopulation and deforestation. He says that everywhere there is pollution, there is threatened biodiversity, and there are many degradations in our nature. So the writer wants to aware us about the two long-term problems, the two interrelated problems. So the first problem, that is overpopulation, and second problem, that is deforestation. Overpopulation, you see, it is the rapid population growth, right? When there is a crowd of people, that's what you call overpopulation. This overpopulation basically in the third world countries, it's because of several reasons like poverty, illiteracy, and so many reasons. Overpopulation is increased, and according to the essayist, according to the writer, in the context of the developed countries, overpopulation is caused I'm sorry, due to due to nutrition, due to sanitation, and because of the advances in medical facilities, and there are so many other reasons. The writer says that every hour we add 10,000 people to our numbers. Though this is somehow old data, यो चाहिँ केही समय अगाडिको डेटा हो. राइटरले बुक लेख्दाखेरि अथवा यो चाहिँ कोलम यसै लेख्दाखेरिको कुरा हो. दिस टाइम हेज बिन चेन्ज, राइट? सो अब अहिले चाहिँ यो नम्बर धेरै बढी भइसकेको हुनसक्छ. सो ही सेज द्याट दिस वर्ल्ड इज हाइली पपुलेटेड, एन्ड he wants to talk something about deforestation also, how people have been cutting down the trees for the fulfillment of their basic needs. And here he talks about many consequences of overpopulation and deforestation. He talks about the causes, consequences, and possible preventive measures of both overpopulation and deforestation. And all these things, overpopulation and deforestation, these things are caused by human beings, human activities, because they are somehow not sincere, they are insincere about the bad effects or adverse effects of those two long-term problems in the environment. And at last the the essayist wants us tells us what human beings should do for bringing or for rolling back the situation of the environment. So let us start with the overpopulation, its causes, its consequences, bad effects or bad impacts in the environment, and the possible measures as discussed by the writer here. So simply, overpopulation, you can see the crowd of people everywhere. When we go there, we can find the crowd of people. And deforestation, it is the state of cutting the trees, the trees being changed into the barren land, barren land, the state of being treeless. That's deforestation. And people do this for many reasons, for the shelter, for agriculture, for changing it into agricultural land, right? So let's talk about causes of overpopulation. The essayist says that the world is overpopulated because of high birth rate. So birth rate is really higher than the mortality rate. People are being born, or the children, the flow of birth rate is really higher than the the rate of mortality rate, so that many numbers are being added every hours or every year. So this is because of many reasons like poverty, illiteracy, and many more reasons, as the writer says here. So high birth rate is one of the causes. Low mortality rate because of the advances in nutrition, sanitation, health, the awareness about their health. People of basically the more industrialized countries or the developed countries, they are living longer, and most of them reach the reproductive age very soon because of the nutrition, because of the health, sanitation. So because of these things, there is overpopulation. So people are having or people are living for a longer time. Yeah, for example, if the average life expectancy is 60, and if some people are there living or they're alive for 100 years, 90 years, then at least they will live 30 years or 40 years, right? So in these 30 to 40 years, the population will be increased because there is low mortality rate. So in that way, low mortality rate is also one of the causes of overpopulation. Advances in nutrition, sanitation, and health services, the same thing that we talked about here. So because of these things, people are healthy nowadays. So mostly in the developed countries, high life expectancy rate. For example, mostly people in Japan, they have a high life expectancy rate. They live for more than 100 years, right? So these are the causes the writer talks about here. And while talking about overpopulation, the writer gives examples of Nepal also. The overpopulation of Nepal in 1951, it says that the population was 9 million, and after within less than half a century, this number rose to 23 million, and the population growth rate was 2.5 percentage, and with the average Nepali woman giving birth to 5 children there. Basically, he says that the population growth rate of Nepal is very high, and Nepal would not be able to support that population if that population really gets, or if the population growth rate continues in that same way. So he talks, or he always people about the cause of overpopulation, or the possible consequences or the bad effects that might take place in regions. So let's very briefly talk about consequences of overpopulation. The first one is deforestation. As there is high population, people need their shelter, and for all the many regions, they cut down the trees. And next is environmental pollution. Because of overpopulation, because of crowd people, everything is polluted. Water is polluted, lake is polluted, land is polluted, air is polluted because they use vehicles, they run factories, like, so that there is environmental pollution. Similarly, there is low quality of life, so that they will be having less qualitative education, they will be having less qualitative health, they will be having less nutritious foods. In that way, they will be having low quality of life. There will be less employment opportunities, less chance of education. So in that way, compromise गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ आफ्नो जीवनमा धेरै कुराहरुसँग, शिक्षा, स्वास्थ्य, रोजगारी जस्ता कुराहरुसँग. So there will be low quality of life. Health hazard. People are suffering from so many diseases like respiratory diseases, lung dysfunctioning, cancer, asthma. There are so many diseases that people are suffering from because of the health hazard, because of the environmental pollution, or because of airborne pollution, and so many other consequences like that. And desertification, the green land, the forest land gets changed into barren field because of overpopulation. When people, they exploit the natural resources, when they overuse the things. And depletion of non-renewable resources. People, when there is large number of people, they need to use the non-renewable resources like petrol, diesel, coal, and other natural gases in very large number, or in very large amount or quantity, so that they will be reduced or they will be minimized. So these are some of the consequences or bad effects or adverse effects of overpopulation on the environment, right? So here we talked about causes of overpopulation and its consequences. And now let me tell you something about the possible measures, preventive measures of overpopulation. How can we control it, or how can we overcome the problem of overpopulation? Here, ability to roll back population. Roll back means पहिलाको अवस्थामा फर्काउने अथवा पहिलाको जस्तो बनाउने. How can we do this? How can we roll back population? Means there are many things to roll back population, or we can do many things to roll back population, right? So might be educating people, telling them or imparting population education, health education. There are so many things. So population लाई पहिलाको अवस्थामा पुर्याउन सक्नु पर्यो, means घटाउनु पर्यो, right? So population growth rate, if population growth rate was low, that should be made low again. So next is modernization. Modernization is one of the preventive measures of overpopulation. So if there is modernization, the population can be controlled. Modernization, what does modernization mean? Modernization is the state of being modern, right? So to be modern, one should be educated, one should be aware about the consequences, or about the contemporary world, and so many other things like that. So when a person is modernized, or when a nation is modernized, so people will be conscious about their life, their future, their quality of life. So that त्यो भयो भने people will be really conscious about the family size of family there, आफ्नो परिवारको साइजको बारेमा चाहिँ उनीहरूले conscious हुन्छन्. So that modernization is important. Literacy means education is important. Might be health education, population education, environmental education. So everything is related here, and education makes people really aware about their status of life, their quality of life. Media campaigns, that is great role of media like television, newspaper, radio, to broadcast the news about, to broadcast the report, and to broadcast knowledge about overpopulation or its adverse effects. Family planning measures are contraceptives. So family planning devices like both permanent and temporary, these things are really useful for rolling back population, or for maintaining population, or for decreasing overpopulation. Next thing is gender equality. So there should not be discrimination between male and female in their family. So if there is such a discrimination, it will really just hamper, or it will increase overpopulation, because not both male and female, or wife and husband, they will be having decision over their size of family and so many other things like having a baby, right? So there should be equality in terms of economic, education, legal matters, so that both of will be dependent, self-dependent on their decision making things, right? So in that way we can talk about it. Now let's shift into another long-term problem, that is deforestation. The writer talks about the causes, consequences, and cures, or possible measures of this next or second long-term problem. The causes is rapid population growth. So due to rapid population growth, due to overpopulation, people are cutting down the trees, or they are chopping, right? They are chopping down the trees for their shelter, for their basic fulfillment, or fulfillment of basic needs. So in that way, as there is large population, as the population is growing very rapidly, so they are cutting the trees for their fulfillment, or for the fulfillment of basic needs. So next is poverty. Due to poverty also, there is deforestation, because when people are poor, they won't be having any income generating sources, so they need to be engaged in the businesses like lumbering. So some people, they will cut the trees and they will sell the firewoods, right? Or other people, they will be grazing their cattle, they will be grazing their animals, or they will be cutting the trees to feed their for the animals, right? To feed their animals. So in that way, when there is poverty, when there are no other income generating sources, people will be exploiting the forest resources. In that way, the forest will be cut down, or the forest land will be converted into barren land, or there will be desertification. Next thing is new technology. The writer says that new technology itself, some people believe that कसरी new technology चाहिँ deforestation को cause हुन सक्छ भन्ने कुराहरु पनि लाग्न सक्छ, right? So new technology आफैमा एक खालको चाहिँ measures पनि हुन सक्छ. But here the writer means to say that new technology, like हामी this time we have been reading books, we have been reading newspapers, राइट सो न्युजपेपर पढ्छौँ बुक पढ्छौँ त्यो सबै कहाँबाट आउँछ भन्दा फरेस्ट रिसोर्सबाट आउँछ राइट सो हामीले पढेको बुक हामीले पढेको न्युजपेपर लाइक अदर मेनी थिङ्स दे आर द प्रोडक्ट अफ फरेस्ट isn't that so so new technology or advancement or technological breakthroughs also they are the causes or they cause deforestation right so sorry the writer gives us the example that how many trees should be felled down should be cut down to publish the Sunday edition of the New York Times right so Sunday एडिसन को लागि चाहिँ न्युयोर्क टाइम्स भन्ने पत्रिका पब्लिश गर्नको लागि मात्र कति हजार रुख चाहिँ काट्नुपर्छ होला त he's asking us yeah so in that way there are so many newspapers like that there are so many books published and all these things are the product all these things they are the product of the forest or trees right and the next thing is that next cause is affluent lifestyle भनेको स्टाइलिश लाइफस्टाइल मान्छेहरु चाहिँ आफ्नो शानदार लाइफस्टाइल जीवन पद्धति जीवन जिउन चाहन्छन् फर एक्जाम्पल they want to have the expensive furnitures they want to keep expensive furniture in their house for example the writer says that mahogany furniture भनेको चाहिँ एक खालको महँगो फर्निचर हो जुन चाहिँ क्याबिनेट मिनिस्टरहरुको क्याबिनेटमा अथवा धेरै महँगो सामानहरु राखिएको हुन्छ थोरै मान्छेहरुले मात्र त्यसलाई अफोर्ड गर्न सक्छ सो मान्छेहरु चाहिँ महँगो फर्निचर आफ्नो घरमा राख्न चाहने आफ्नो लाइफस्टाइललाई लेभिस शानदार बनाउन खोज्ने त्यसले गर्दा पनि धेरै रुखहरु काटिन्छन् राइट सो नट ओन्ली फर देयर बेसिक नीड्स फर देयर लेभिस लाइफ र शानदार लाइफको लागि चाहिँ उनीहरूले त्यो गर्न चाहन्छन् कन्स्ट्रक्सन अफ हाउसेस एन्ड फ्याक्ट्रीज इज अल्सो वान अफ द कजेज अफ deforestation yeah so to construct the houses and to construct the factories people need the forest resources like trees woods yeah so when there are large number of construction industry र house बनाउँदै नबनाउनु भने हैन but त्यसले गर्दा चाहिँ deforestation हुन्छ नि त if that is done in excessive way right or excessive number अब त्यसको लागि चाहिँ कसरी चाहिँ हामीले त्यसलाई क्योर गर्ने भन्ने कुरा the writer is talking about those things also so consequences here greenhouse effect ozone layer depletion airborne pollution acid rain and threat in biodiversity these things are the consequences of deforestation so all these things mostly they are the environmental consequences सबै कुराहरु चाहिँ environment अथवा मान्छेको health सँग related problem the writer is talking about greenhouse effect भनेको चाहिँ it's just a concept right so जहाँ चाहिँ because of greenhouse gases like nitrogen carbon dioxide yeah so because of these gases the temperature what earth मा आएको सनको लाइटबाट आएको टेम्परेचर चाहिँ त्यस अर्थबाट बाहिर जान मुस्किल हुन्छ and that there will be global warming so that's what we call greenhouse effect so this is the concept of glass house भनेको सिसाको घरको कन्सेप्ट हो जुनमा चाहिँ टेम्परेचर भित्र छिरिसकेपछि बाहिर निस्किन गाह्रो हुन्छ राइट so there are so many other consequences of deforestation the airborne pollution right airborne pollution and acid rain also and threat in biodiversity you can see the picture there so many fishes they are dead there माछाहरु सबै मरेको देखिन्छ खोलाको किनारमा so that is all how the sea is polluted or the river is polluted right and you can see the fourth picture there the fourth picture that shows the effect of acid rain ले गर्दा सबै रुखको पातहरु मरिरहेछ so these were the consequences and next let me tell you something about the preventive measures of overpopulation how can we prevent it okay the preventive measures of overpopulation I'm sorry it's deforestation the preventive measures of deforestation I'm sorry so easing population pressure okay so population pressure लाई चाहिँ control गर्नु पर्यो भनेको population घटाउनु पर्यो right so we should roll back the population or we should try to decrease the population pressure in the environment investment in family planning and education so there should be investment in family planning and education it means family planning should be made effective people should be aware about the use of family planning devices or the method of family planning like temporary and permanent and so that there will be limited population or limited number of people so when there is a limited population they will be utilizing the minimum resources like forest and other many natural things and the education should be made effective so participatory democracy it means the way of ruling a nation by including or by including or by just accepting the participation of all people regardless of their gender, regardless of their caste, ethnicity, minority and all other things. सबै मान्छेहरुलाई चाहिँ रुल गभर्निङ प्रोसेसमा चाहिँ इन्भल्भ गराउनु पर्यो सो दैट सबै मान्छेहरुले चाहिँ आफ्नो डिसिजन मेकिङ अथवा चाहिँ उनीहरुले सिक्ने अवसर पाउँछन् र सचेत हुने अवसर पाउँछन् सो दैट they can be the part of the nation or the part of governance there. Efficient use of wood products. Wood products like furnitures and other many things should be used in an economic way so as to preserve the forest resources. हामीले चाहिँ एउटा रुख काटेर चाहिँ हामीले काम चलाउन सक्छौं, हाम्रो घर निर्माण गर्न सक्छौं, फर्निचर बनाउन सक्छौं भने why do we need to cut other two trees, right? So हामीले दुईटा ट्रीज किन काट्ने, एउटै ट्रीले काम गर्छ भने. So that is what we call efficient use. And financial incentive for preserving forest. Financial incentive is reward, right? So those people who save forest or who go on preserving forest, they should be rewarded or they should be provided with financial incentive so that other many people will be encouraged to save the trees or to save the forest. कसैले चाहिँ फरेस्ट जोगाउने काम गर्छ भने उलाई चाहिँ अवार्ड अथवा चाहिँ रिवार्ड दिनु पर्यो नि त, ओके, सो दैट अरु मान्छेहरुले पनि त्यही काम गर्न सक्छन् अथवा चाहिँ अरु मान्छेहरु पनि त्यसमा चाहिँ उत्प्रेरित मोटिभेटेड हुन सक्छन्. Next is afforestation or reforestation. Those barren lands, okay, those barren lands or those green lands which have been converted into barren lands or deserts, they should be again reforested or they should be filled with the trees. जुन खाली ठाउँहरु छ तिनीहरुमा चाहिँ ट्री रोपिनु पर्छ, तिनीहरुमा चाहिँ फेरि हरियाली बनाइनु पर्छ. That's what called afforestation or reforestation. Next is appropriate technology like smokeless stove. The writer talks about smokeless stove that is used in one of the countryside of Nepal. Nepalको एक ठाउँमा चाहिँ the writer says that a lady, a Nepali woman says that she has used one smokeless stove in her house. आफ्नो घरमा चाहिँ smokeless stove use गरे भएर त्यसले चाहिँ environment मा कम pollution गरेको भन्ने कुरा. So these are the measures and let's talk about some important questions from this lesson. So here you will be asked to write about the causes, consequences and remedies of overpopulation and deforestation as discussed by the essayist. Okay, so as I told you just before, you have to write about those things. Next question, how does Moti Nisani portray the condition of environment? What suggestion does he put forward to control deforestation? So he says that environment and human activities, they are in the verge of collision, right? Collision. So एउटाले अर्कोलाई चाहिँ pressure दिइरहने, एउटाले अर्कोलाई चाहिँ degrade गरिरहने, that is the condition of environment and human life. So that he suggests us many things for controlling deforestation. त्यसमा चाहिँ we have to write the measures of deforestation. And the third number, explain the link between overpopulation and deforestation. What is the link between overpopulation and deforestation? So these are the two long-term problems. They are interrelated, twin problems. They are the twin problems, right? So तिनीहरु चाहिँ एउटाले अर्कोलाई directly effect गरिरहेको हुन्छ. When there is overpopulation, there will be deforestation, right? And when there is deforestation, there will be the effect on the human being. मान्छेलाई चाहिँ अथवा human health मा, environment मा problem हुन्छ. त्यो भनेको human being is directly affected. So here you have to talk about the causes of overpopulation and you have to talk about the causes of deforestation. Causes of deforestation, the deforestation itself is one of the causes. Deforestation itself is the effects or bad effects or consequences of overpopulation, and deforestation is one of the overpopulation is one of the causes of deforestation. So you have to talk about the interrelated things. एउटाले अर्कोलाई कसरी इफेक्ट गरेको छ, सरी अफेक्ट गर्छ अथवा एउटाको इफेक्ट अर्कोमा कसरी पर्छ भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ you have to talk about there in the number 3 there. Number 4, what leads Moti Nisani to the belief that the world is facing an overpopulation problem? So there are many consequences, right? There are many consequences. So he says that everywhere or everything is contaminated, water is contaminated, river is contaminated, so many things are contaminated this time. Or so people this time they have to think twice while going or while taking part or while going to river, while going to sea, right? So because the rivers, they are contaminated, lakes, they are contaminated, and we are uneasy about our poisons in our food and drinks. Everywhere we are uneasy about poisons in our home, in our workplace, in our water, in our soil, in our brains, right? So and everyone is we are consuming the poisons or poisonous things, right? So the lawns are contaminated, the grasslands are contaminated, the farms are contaminated, or the poisonous things. So nothing is an exception. भनेको कुनै कुराहरु पनि अपवाद छैन, सबै कुराहरुमा चाहिँ त्यो इक्वली चाहिँ त्यो लागू भइरहेको छ. So the poet is talking, the essayist is talking about